I don't care how you get rid of it. Burn it, chop it up, put it in acid. I really don't care. Just shut up and do it. Now don't give me that look. I didn't do this. My mirror universe doppelganger did that. So I'm perfectly sane, and that's a perfectly sane thing to say. Okay, just shut up and do... Our journeys continue, and the good news is that we've finally reached the Delta Quadrant.
There's coffee in that nebula.
That's right, it's time to take a look at a classic episode from Star Trek Voyager. I'm sure that 7 of 9 thinks it's a worthwhile endeavor.
This activity is truly unproductive.
Or not. How did 7 of 9 come to be assimilated in the first place? The answers lie in the Season 4 episode, The Raven. Nevermore. Welcome to Sci-Fi Wire's Warp Factor Classic Blend. Fun will now commence. Engage! Prepare for a mission briefing, or you will be assimilated. No, don't like that. This episode first aired in 1997, but if you haven't seen it, it's new to you. All crew to spoiler station, shields up, and because 1997, yellow alert! The USS Voyager is stranded in the Delta Quadrant and taking the long way home. Former Borg drone 7 of 9, tertiary adjunct of Unimatrix 01, is acclimating to her new life on board the ship and is getting lessons in sculpture from Captain Catherine Janeway and the Captain's Da Vinci Studio holodeck program.
I find sculpting helps me unwind, relax.
Janeway talks about fantasy and imagination before 7 has a hallucination of being chased by Borg drones, someone screaming the name Annika, and a big black bird flying right at her.
The concept of relaxation is difficult for me to understand.
She gets analyzed in sickbay, where the EMH tells her she's reliving the trauma of her assimilation as a part of her regaining her humanity. He also tells her to go eat something.
Your digestive system is fully functional.
The Voyager crew has an issue too. They have to cross Bomar space because it would take too long to go around it. They need permission to do that, so Janeway, Chakotay, and Tom Paris negotiate to get that permission from these hoity-toity aliens who enjoy wearing stained glass wire dish racks on their heads. They are cleared for a route that will take even longer than going around and are given speed limits. Taking the Cross Bronx won't help them either because it never helps anything. 7 makes her first visit to the mess hall, and Neelix teaches her how to sit and how to eat. She enjoys neither thing. She has another hallucination, gives Neelix a good resistance is futile, and then shoves him to the floor. Didn't like the briefing. Neelix makes a one spicy sauce and also stir-fries things right after saying that he'll steam them. Thanks, Neelix. 7 plows through Voyager with Borg-style shielding, and the Bomar are pissed off to find out that there's a Borg on board in the first place. Tuvok fails to stop her, and soon 7 is off in a shuttle. The Doctor finds that residual Borg nanoprobes have become active in 7 once more. Tuvok and Tom Paris track her down, and Tuvok attempts to use the Doctor's new miracle cure on her. He is unsuccessful. After reading 7's decrypted personal logs, Captain Janeway remembers that she minored in ornithology at the Academy, not really, and that the bird that 7 has been seeing in her hallucinations is a raven. Janeway knows where 7 is really going and starts having Voyager search for Federation signals. 7 follows a Borg resonance frequency to a planet where she is convinced she'll rejoin the collective. Tuvok accompanies her, and they find the remains of a half-assimilated Federation ship, and that's where the resonance frequency is coming from. 7 shuts the signal off, and she then gets the full hallucinatory show, seeing the assimilation of her younger self and her parents 18 years prior. Drink plenty of water. The name of the ship is none other than the USS Raven, the science vessel that was once the home of 7 and her parents. This was where young Annika was assimilated and 7 of 9 was born. They deduce that the dormant nanoprobes within 7 activated because Voyager passed within range of the signal. The Bomar soon arrive, thanks for nothing, but so does Voyager. Janeway has taken more than enough of their crap, so before reinforcements can arrive, she slaps the Bomar around a little bit while Paris gets 7 and Tuvok off of the planet. The remains of the USS Raven crash into a ditch. Back on Voyager, Seven is well and back in Janeway's Da Vinci hologram, wondering what life would be like if she and her parents had not been assimilated. Janeway tells her that their database has information all about her parents, if Seven should ever want to read it.
Look at his eyes uncovered!
Does the Raven contain all kinds of references, lore, and fun facts about the canon of Trek? Am I still obsessed with the way that Spock threw soup at the wall? A big yes to both questions. This episode seriously fleshes out the backstory of Seven's assimilation, something begun in Seven's first episode, Scorpion Part 2, and will continue for the rest of this series. We hear Seven's real name here, Annika, though we don't yet get her last name, Hansen. Seven's parents, Magnus and Erin Hansen, would be seen again in the Season 6 episode Dark Frontier and the Voyager Conspiracy. Dark Frontier also features the USS Raven, young Seven, aka young Annika Hansen, and an explanation for how this family got so far out into the Delta Quadrant in the first place. Seven went on to get many more lessons in humanity from Neelix, who has her first scene with her in this episode, the Doctor, and most importantly, Captain Janeway.
I think the nose could be a little stronger.
Seven's use of a phaser rifle in this episode is echoed later on in Star Trek Picard, except there, she'd be double fisting. The Fomar's nastiness to a reformed Borg is also something that Season 1 of Picard would explore with the entire storyline of the XBs. Remember that? I'm sure you do. Tuvok attempts to use the famous Vulcan nerve pinch on Seven, and she flummoxes him by actually using the move on him. This is the first time we've seen a former Borg use the move, but we did see Data perform it in the TNG two-parter Unification. Speaking of Data, Seven mowing through a cast of characters to follow a mysterious signal regarding a family mystery is similar to what Data does in the TNG episode Brothers. Fix me. The TNG episode Q Who, our first ever dance with the Borg, maintain the events of that episode marked Starfleet's first becoming aware of the Borg as a whole. The Hansens studying the Borg here muddy up that timeline quite a bit, and Trek would continue to do this with episodes like Regeneration on Star Trek Enterprise. The popular theory is that Starfleet became aware of them earlier than Q Who because of the time travel shenanigans going on in the film Star Trek First Contact. You can decide for yourself. Janeway's go-to holodeck program is seen once again here, and the holographic Leonardo da Vinci himself, played by the legendary John Rhys Davies, is seen in the Season 3 episode Scorpion Part 1 and Season 4's Concerning Flight. It's one of a few holodeck programs that Captain Janeway enjoys, following in the proud tradition of captains enjoying specific programs. Jean-Luc enjoyed his Dixon Hill Mysteries, and Benjamin Sisko loved to go to classic baseball games.
The ball was clearly outside!
Oh, what the hell were you looking at? You can't tell me that ball was over the plate! What were you doing? Regenerating?
Caught the outside corner.
Holodecks weren't around for the original series, so we don't know what programs would be favored by James Tiberius Kirk. But we can imagine. I'm sure they all feature nice, likable girls. Brian Fuller, who served as showrunner on Star Trek Discovery briefly during its inception, wrote the teleplay for this episode and is quoted as saying that they took Seven a bit too far in terms of her regaining her humanity, and they pulled it back after this episode, wanting to mine it a little more. Mine it they did. They mined it but good.
Earl Grey never fails.
Earl Grey never fails. But the fact remains that there is coffee in that nebula. In honor of the good Captain Janeway, we'll be going with black coffee this week, which succeeds quite well. So does the Raven when it comes to classic quotes. 7 of 9 naturally dominates this episode with hilarious reactions to learning how to sculpt and how to eat. When Janeway tells her the first rule of sculpting is not to be afraid of the clay, Seven responds, "I fear nothing." The line, however, that hits home the most, thanks in no small part to another generally underappreciated performance by the always great Jerry Ryan, is when everything comes together for Seven on the Raven. As she says, "It happened
here. This is where it began. This is where I was assimilated. is our ship. Oh, they lived here. They lived here for a long time.
Annika lives. There's coffee in that nebula, and Earl Grey never fails. Seven of Nine would not only go on to play a big part for the rest of Voyager for the entire rest of the run, but she recently showed up on Star Trek Picard for a number of episodes and warped off at the end of Season 1 with the crew of La Sirena. It's my hope that she stays on that crew for good. La Sirena, 7 of 9. Good combination. Her short interactions with Picard were one of the highlights of Season 1, so here's hoping for a lot more. Guinan is set to appear in Season 2 of Picard, and what would a scene between Guinan and Seven be like? I need to know, and I need to know right now. Speaking of things that I need right now. Crusher Watch! Crusher Watch! Beverly Crusher is not in The Raven. She never appeared on Star Trek Voyager. Is this fair? Yes. Also, no. We do get plenty of quality time with another one of my favorite Starfleet doctors, the Doctor. Not the Doctor, the Doctor, the holographic Doctor, the EMH.
Please state the nature of the medical emergency.
The emergency is that I have a fever, and the only prescription is Jean-Luc and Beverly getting it on. Too much?
Hailing frequencies open.
Our hailing frequencies are now open. Be sure to let us know what your thoughts are on The Raven and what you'd like to see from 7 of 9 in the future. Also, be sure to call out other episodes you'd like to see us explore. One viewer recently requested the Voyager episode Relativity, and I liked that suggestion so much that I almost changed course this week. I didn't, but I came close. It's cozy here in the Delta Quadrant, but I hear there's a war going on back home. The Dominion poses a great threat, and Starfleet's only hope may be the machinations of Captain Benjamin Lafayette Sisko and a Cardassian tailor / super spy. Can you tell where I'm going with this? Oh yes, I'm going to lie. I'm going to cheat. And I think I can live with it. I can live with it. Next week, we dance with the devil in the... You know the rest. Damn fine coffee, Captain. I won't be afraid of the clay.